Hello, you beautiful people. This is part two, gamification in education. Hello, Raj again.
Hello, Uncle Code. We had a really insightful conversation about all these different categories in terms of gamification mechanics that we can use. Right? We have
Mhm.
performance, we had ecological, social, personal, and also the last one is fictional. Right?
Yes.
Um, and now my next question is: we talked about Bartles' personality theory,
Oh,
right?
yeah, remember. I remember.
Right? We talked about the different roles: the killers, the achievers, the explorers, the socializers. Now, this has to be a very important thing in education as well, right? Because not all students are going to be designed the same way. Not everybody's going to be a socializer.
Wrong.
Some
Wrong.
people want to be achievers. So, is this something important that we have to keep in mind in terms
Very
of
interesting.
gamification in education?
You know what? When we apply gamification, the good news is there have been a lot of researches, okay,
Mhm.
and effective way, and it's working. We are using gamification in human resource, in economy, in politics, in digital marketing, and many other area. So when we bring it to education, definitely whatever relevant to gamification can come to education as well, including Bartle four personalities. You know what? When we talk about the gamification taxonomies, all these taxonomies, of course, in a normal classroom you don't have this capability to apply all of them, but from each one you can pick up one or two. I guess is good for a school teacher. But when you go to the online systems, all of them can be there because technology can do that. But the nice thing about it is some students, they don't like point, they like something else because of their personality.
Yeah.
So a very important thing in the design of a gamification education system is to make sure we do consider all these different personalities, and we just not build a system for people they want to just eat chocolate. Okay, because what if you don't like chocolate? What if you didn't like, and then your mom should find something else? What if you are not in fan of eating something? Then your mom should find something else, right?
Mhm.
So definitely you had some chocolate issue in your life, so that your
Yep.
mom could utilize it in a nice way.
It's,
So
it's still going on until today.
I'm still there's some chocolate around your table now, and then um, and now back to these four personalities. For example, remember you helped me to review the personalities. What was the four personalities of Bartles?
So we have the killers, the
Oh, okay.
achievers, the explorers, and the socializers.
So what do you remember about killers?
So killers, I remember, are people who always want to be number one. They want to be the best of the best, and they really need to achieve the highest level that they can achieve.
Interesting. And it means one of the very important aspect of them is I want to be the top and no one else. So if I don't want to share the throne, okay, Game of Throne, I don't want to share the throne. I want to be on a throne by
Right.
myself. So if you want to apply it to education system, especially the traditional education system satisfies this for hundreds of years, what comes to
Mhm.
your mind?
What comes to my mind? Who gets number one in class? I don't know. Best
Exactly.
student in
A
school.
plus.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
A plus.
exactly the A plus. Getting number one, the highest GPA, the highest, the number one. So, okay, first of all, I want to tell this: there's nothing wrong if you are a killer. Okay, we are human with the way we raise and whatever. The nice thing is we are all of them, all these for personality, but some of them are more. Even sometimes in some contexts we want to be killer. In some contexts we don't care. Okay, if we don't care if we're killer or we are the zombie or whoever, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, but if I am a system designer for education, I have to come up with some opportunities for killer to satisfy them. Because if I am a killer living in a family, company, society that doesn't let me to fulfill and satisfy, I bring that anxiety to my life. If I don't feel enough, and I to number one, when I go home with my friends, I smash it when it comes to the argument and debate. Many times, if you see a friend make a kind of dominant argument with you, because he couldn't get that satisfaction of dominancy in somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are, for example, fighter, your job should give you this ability to fight a little bit, like you kind of maybe are a police and running for and chasing. But then when you back home, you are a lovely person because you're already satisfied. So it's very important that we do this for people they want this desire. And I guess everyone need this chance once for a while to be a killer. But in education system, of course, A plus has been around. Traditionally, this is something very achievable because it was easy. 200 years ago, it was easy to do something and pick up one person and number one. That's why in sport, Olympics and games and many other kind of things, we have this concept of the killer. So when it comes to the online learning system, opportunity is really high to be number one in the XP, to be number. For example, it's not only the number one after one semester. Every day we can announce the top person that solved more questions per day. So you see, and another ability to be a killer. Or hey, another things, the person that answered more questions of other students. So if your personality is helping people, so you have a chance to fulfill your hidden killer. I helped most of people today, and tomorrow again another chance, again another chance.
Mm.
It's not like you wait for semester. Oh my god, I couldn't be number one because that day I had a little tummy issue. It's not fair at all. So you feel depressed. So let's go for the second one, achiever. What do you remember with achiever?
Achievers. This is a very interesting question, right? Achievers are people who are maybe not so focused on themselves being number one, but they are more focused on maybe achieving an objective or a goal instead of being the person that is in first place. Am I right?
Okay, yes, I think it's true. For them, doesn't matter that much. They're not thinking like a killer that I have to be and no one else. Okay, so they
Mm.
like competition. For example, definitely, if we see, for example, CEO of a famous company like Google has such a kind of personality of being killer, the whole world will be worried. So that means definitely they make sure to bring him down because in the free market, free economy, competition or competitive environment is very important. That means this company compete with this company. For example, now you know that the Jeff Bezos, the AWS, the Amazon CEO, they
Yeah.
want to buy. But before that, the Virginia company, the Johnson Bros, he went to space. So that's a competition. Before all of them, this going to space is started by Elon Musk. So this is really interesting. You know what? Look at this competition. After a few years, now we have a lot of things to go to a space. Looks like you get a grab and go to the space. So these are achievers.
Yep.
They want to achieve achievement. They like to do the leadership. They're gonna build the build and achieve more and more and more and continue. So when it comes to the gamification, they enjoy from XP. They enjoy from progress, especially progress. They see the changes. They like those economical elements like coins, like rare items. They collect things. They build things. So they make their territory bigger and bigger. And when it comes to education, means their knowledge. They're increasing their knowledge and awareness, and they want to own it and they want to control it, and they want to be considered as a kind of, I am very good in mathematics. How?
Mm.
Look at my XP in math. My XP in math reached to the last to gold level. I am the geek. So, but they don't say I am the only geek in the world and no one else
Mm.
around. So it's not like that. They like this one,
Yeah.
and they collect good badges, good trophies. They keep the trophies in the rooms and they show it. So that's a very important thing. So who was the
Mhm.
next character?
The next one is the explorer.
Very good. What do you
And
career?
the explorer is someone, a student, a person who likes to try a lot of things. They like to use their hands, maybe be a bit more hands on. They like to build, they like to explore maybe different ways of doing things.
Fantastic. One thing is very important about explorer. They're not in terms of achieving, but for them achievement technically is in exploring more options. So
Mm.
when I come to, for example, maybe I'll come to a kind of country and I think that okay, I want to build my business here and I want to make it strong and I want to help many people. I want to achieve this. Another person says that no, I want to go and work with many companies as much as possible. After 10 years, I want to make sure that I have been with hundreds of companies and teams and peoples, and I've been everywhere, and I want to continue that one. That's exploratory person. So for the explorer, desire is that one. That means I don't want to achieve this. I want to leave it and then go for next one and next one and see everything and collectively get a nice wisdom. And when it comes to education, these kids, these students, they love options, choices. They love to know that, okay, do you know that you can learn Pythagorean theorem in 10 different ways? Which one do you like? Theoretical, game based, practical? I want all of it. Okay, I finish this one, and then I finish this one, and then I go for the other one, I go the other one. So choices, those ecological elements, randomness, choices, options, trial and errors, and then get backs. They love it. A story, you give them a story, they finish everything. They
Mm.
cry if they finish a game and there's no extra map. So, I finish. They want always more and more. Typically, they watch long TV shows like Friends, for example, because they
Mm.
want exploration. And they watch all the movies and different things. So for them, this is important. In the gamification environment, it's so simple. They love it. They give them a lot of challenges. questions, more quizzes, more tasks, more options. They like these kind of things.
Mhm.
So
Right.
what's the fourth character?
And the final character is the socializer. Now, the socializer is someone, a student who enjoys learning with other people around them. They like interacting
Perfect.
with people, working together. I don't know, maybe a bit of competition internally, but collaboration as well.
Very nice. There's something very important. You remember that I said that socializer typically they form the biggest group of every community.
Mhm.
So socializers are important. Socializers make your brand famous. Socializers shares your channel. Socializers come and write comment for you. Socializers they express their feelings and help other people. So that's very important to have enough socializers in your community. To not have too many killers. To not have
Yeah.
too many achievers. You must have 40, 40, 50% socializers. So in education, when we give them the opportunity to collaborate, typically they like to do teamwork. For example, you tell them that okay, one of the things I forgot to say that I like to do when we do in Kiddo Code is we tell the students that who likes to create course for other
Mm.
students. Socializers, they love it. They like to record themselves and build course and teach and train and help and answer questions and give love, give like, support. If there is any criticism, give a good criticism, support it. They maintain the foundation of the community, and they are really really important elements. Majority of people, they're really important. That's they are true lovers, and for them when it comes to education, we have to give them the ability to give the comments. If you don't let socializer to share the comments, he or she will die. If you don't let them to show the like or dislike or engage, they engage. You give them survey, they engage. So they love it. They want, why you don't give me any surveys? Why just watch video? So if you build a kind of learning system, you just watch a video, they don't like it. But if you go to YouTube, if you go to SoundCloud, or you go to these apps, comments typically come from these people a lot, and that's very important in education system.
Uncle Kur, you also mentioned about the flow theory in our previous
Oh,
episode. You know, the flow theory when you are in the zone. You know, there's is this moment where you hit this immense focus and concentration when you're doing something. How can we apply this flow theory when it comes to gamification in education?
I want to back to first thing we started when we talk about the math, and I hate math.
Mm,
I believe that this flow theory is the answer for majority of disengagement or majority of the moments that people walk away from something. You know, it happens to many people. They start to do the gym, but after a while they leave it. Or they learn a new language, then they leave it. Or anything in a life. Or you go to a relationship with someone, but after a while you feel it's not good. Or you start to go to a place, a restaurant, but then you start to change it to go somewhere else. And it comes to education as well. You know what? This famous psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he came up with this flow theory. And then it's this kind of situation. It's the moment that most of creative things, beautiful things happen for famous people when they were in the state of the flow. The state of the flow is somewhere between anxiety, boredom. It happens, I guess everybody experiences. It's different for people, but we all have this experience. Maybe you were in a gym, maybe you were cleaning dishes at home or
mm,
vacuum cleaner. Suddenly you disconnected from the world and you are in the state of flow. Best focus happen in a state of flow. Best engagement happen in a state of flow. It's very very important. That means you give your majority of the brain attention to some things and you live with it and you enjoy with it. That is your favorite music. That is your favorite movie. That is your favorite speaker, favorite book, and if the math class won't happen in the state of flow, you will hate it. Game designer make sure to maximize the duration that gamers are in the state of the flow and increase the satisfaction and maximize the duration, so then that game will be successful. You can see that the x-axis is the skills low. When we move to the right, we increase the skill to the high. And look at the y-axis is challenge. So there are two important things: challenge and a skill. Learning is all about this. I give you a challenge, I give you time to turn it into a skill, right? That's what we call in mastery. Education is supposed to be this. But I can't give you all the challenges of the world in one place because you feel anxiety. If I give you
mm.
too many challenges, you feel anxiety. So if you had experience, join to a class, after a few days you feel I don't get anything because the speed of receiving or giving you those challenges was more than your capability on that topic. You didn't have enough time to turn them to skills. If I don't give you enough challenge, you will drop into boredom because
Mm.
you want adrenaline, you want dopamine. Doesn't have any challenge for me, so I don't want to continue this engagement. So I want to go and do something else, like a movie that in episode 2, 3 you decide to not continue it, or no, it's getting really good. I want to continue. Now look at the state of flow, which is between anxiety and boredom. A state of flow is a place that you are enjoying with the amount of challenge that you are receiving and the amount of time you have to turn them to a skill. You see how it's shaping. Look at the shape. It's a stairs model. It says like this. Look at the green dot at the very corner bottom left. We give little challenge. So you go up a little bit. You go up. You move to anxiety. There's a challenge. So okay, don't worry, my students. I give you this challenge. Now I give you time. Time means you move into x-axis to back again to state of flow zone. That's the part that challenge became a skill. Now you can enjoy. Wow, I did it. It was challenge, but I did it. You're so
Right.
happy, excited because you are again to a state of flow. You are back in the state of flow. And if I don't give you the challenge, you now I'm doing this every day. So you move too much in the x-axis. You are in the zoom of in the boredom. So when you're moving right at when you're reaching to that border of flow and boredom, that is the moment a smart teacher can detect it and give you a challenge before you go to the boredom. If I give you soon, you are still building a skill, so you won't get solid skills. If I give you late, you are in the boredom, and I have I may lose you. So if I give you too much challenge, are you going to bring you too much into anxiety? Even I give you 10 days, you never back to flow because it's too much. So it's very important. I design the system, game, education, everything in the way that you move nicely into this state of the flow. And when you move up, what is happening? A skill is increasing, challenges that you face is increasing. You understand this diagram, right?
Yep, yep. At first, it was a bit overwhelming. You see a lot of squiggly lines and everything, but I think you explained it really clearly. It is really about finding that balance, right?
Yes.
It's really a balancing act between anxiety and boredom. How difficult would it be for someone to implement this, Uncle Code?
You know, for example, back to the math class, right? If typically, if or look at the, for example, learning piano. Okay, learning piano. So when you're learning music, it's very interesting. It's a very practical experience. If teacher give you too much of things, you're never ever gonna be able to see that teacher again because you feel anxiety. You feel you are not designed for this. You start to say, "I hate piano. I hate this." Same way when we say, "I hate math." When a child says, "I hate math," probably teacher screw up. That means like gave a lot of challenge in the anxiety and leave the child, and child never had the chance to back to flow. And Raj, this diagram is different. That make it difficult from one student to another student. It's not like I know, it's very different from one person to one. There are quizzes and survey to measure what is the width of this the flow. Some people flow is really little. That means you have to give them little challenge, little time, little challenge, little time. Some people is wide. That means you can give them big challenge. And if you don't know it, you make a mistakes. You may give a big challenge to a person need a little challenge. But when you know that, everybody will be a mathematician.
Hmm.
I totally believe in growth mindset and not fixed mindset. If you build a proper system based on a state of flow, you can really make everybody happy. But it's difficult. But when it comes to the online environment, artificial intelligence can help because artificial intelligence can see those nuances between one person to the other person. You must have few students. You must be very a skilled teacher to be able to build such a kind of construction model for different. Practically good teachers can do it by experience. They have 10 students, 20 students. They know that this child is slower, this child faster. So they try to do that. But the entire classical education system is not designed with this adaptivity. Everybody go through same thing, same challenge. So that's why many people they're gonna lost in the boredom or in anxiety. Few are lucky to survive and continue in the flow.
Right. So, to parents and teachers listening to the talk show right now, please don't be discouraged. Even though it is a balancing act, we are going to share with you in the next question a place for you to start. Right, like Uncle Code mentioned, it's all about the growth mindset. So, let's find a platform to start. Uncle Code, what are some gamification methods or tools, perhaps, that can help students increase their engagement when it comes to gamified learning? For example, when I was in university, my lecturers loved to use Kahoot. It is a
Mhm.
browser-based game,
Bravo,
right? You just
bravo,
plug in
bravo.
questions, and the whole class can compete to answer who's the
Very
fastest
good,
and who gets the most right.
very good.
And that really changed the dynamics in the classroom because we had much better retention when it came to the subject. And number two, of course, a few people in the class were gloating a lot after they won the competition, right? But what are some of these other methods that people tuning into the talk show can use?
Okay, today within this talk, our purpose is more to give awareness.
Mm,
Then we talk about a solution more, definitely. I mean, like, definitely we're gonna have a talk about solutions. One of the things that I think we have to do it maybe after this next talk should be maybe about some tools, because very important thing is first people understand that teachers, parents understand that how gamification is going to help. Okay, when I know how, I know that many teachers, if parents or teachers watching these videos, definitely if they get some ideas, they go and search and they're going to find interesting stuff. How can I bring better quiz, better question answering, better collaboration? There are really like Kahoot, the one you missed example. There are, one of them is Aristotle. It's a really interesting environment and successful that increase debate and conversations between the students and many more things. So these are tools that we will talk about them. But in general, uh, let me get a little conclusion that by now we talk about gamification in education and we talk about some tools. How is the gamification taxonomy to see how we can apply? So the question is, how can I apply in my class? Then we should talk about tools, right? Then we
yeah.
talk about the state of flow to be a bit in more science of gamification. What gamification trying to do? Try to make children, keep children in the state of flow, because that's when they do their best engagement. So it's a fact to tell people, don't really believe when a child says I hate math. It means either he or she is in boredom or is in the anxiety, and that means either I hate math. You have to ask who is your teacher. So then you have to talk with teachers a little bit. So, or many more reason, not math. I mean, there are many things in the life. But when it comes to some general approaches, I think when it comes to Q&A, question answering, I think is a very interesting stuff. For example, you look at the internet, you see some website like a Stack Overflow, like Quora, like many environment that people ask questions, people answer. So when we give engagement, when you do something that your students are not just passive listener, so then things will be a little bit better because they have chance and time to show themselves and do something rather than just sit down entire of the day. So question answering is really good. Even if there is no computers, why not utilize debate a lot in your class? Well, I suggest teachers to follow flipped model of the classroom. Means before the class, you share materials and all the things that we want to talk with the students. The student they go through the self learnings, they watch videos, give them links, PDFs, they read, and when they come to class, everybody when in the classroom they start to talk about it and debate about it and they challenge whatever they have learned, and that's a really nice environment. The Q&A is a kind of simple way that you can apply. I'm not talking about tools for now today, but we talk about the tools like Kahoot and many more apps that can help here. The other one is the correction. Correction is really nice when you have seen it definitely in some apps um, like for example Duolingo, that you can ask community to correct your pronunciation, for example, and it's very effective. When we let children to review each other answer and correct it, it's again another form of engagement. For example, we're talking about collaborative engagements. Okay, so that's again in a nice way that you're going to do that. Or battle and challenges. Try to use quizzes and nice way of the quiz, for example, like Kahoot that you mentioned, or QuizUp or Quizlet. These are interesting apps that really simply immediately let children to engage, and there's a little board for them and they're going to enjoy and love it. The other thing is building. Let children to build course, build material. For example, you ask children that create a video course about one of the topic that they like, and then ask other student to watch and comment to their YouTube channel, maybe, or something like that. So these are some kind of little elements that can be applied. But what are the tools that we can use it? Definitely we're going to talk about it in another video. We will list up some, like we try to list 10 nice apps that
Mm.
can be used by trainers for to bring simply gamification to their learning and make it a little bit more interactive.
Right. So, Uncle Kot, we talked about many different things in gamification in education, right? We talked about the taxonomy, we talked about the flow theory, we talked about many interesting things. Now, my final question to round out the episode is, what kind of benefits can teachers or parents see the moment they start implementing gamification in education.
Okay. So it's a sort of wrap up, actually. I look at this one because we already mentioned many of it when we were talking, right? So
Yep.
maybe in general, I can point out a few things. But my first things is okay, if you can, dopamine is a very important hormone. Is sort of neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitters, we know what neurotransmitters does in the brain. What they do, they make sure the flow of data information between the neuron cells get better. It means you let you think easier, act easier, faster. That's how you feel happiness, because there is a chemical component. Let the communication move faster and smoother. That's one of the things that dopamine does. So gamification, make sure that your students, they are in high dopamine. They are high. Looks like it. They call it dopamine drug. It's like kind of they're in high dopamine. If your audience dopamine level is increasing, you are really happy. You have done your job well. So that's what you want to do. That like kind of game that two football teams play nice, and then we're really engaged and we enjoy it, rather than the very boring games. Let me back again. Rather than a boring game that nothing happening and don't feel well. So one of the best thing is make sure that children, they have dopamine when they are listening to or following. And of course, giving one of the things that I really always love it, ownership. Let children to own their learning. It's very nice. Constructivism benefit is children, they own. I did it. I figured out what is the score formula of the score area. Not teacher told me. So that's a very important thing. They never forget. And also they also have this ability. Remember, in the gamification, children, they can make a decision. So the ability to choose alternative approaches. Let them to be strategists. Metacognition. That means I can solve the questions in different way. And that's something that we ask the students in normal class, but they don't do it. But if the system designed in a way that they can do it easily, is amazing. That's what you do in a game. You game all days, you are choosing an alternative above and other things. And one of the very, 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 very important things that I like to keep saying very, very is extremely amazing is trial and error as much as you want. Failure will be very easy and available and achievable in a gamified, especially online model. That means a student have the ability to keep doing mistake. This is a beautiful world when children don't get punishment. Imagine if I bring you to the chemistry lab, I can't let you to do mistake because I have to pay money, damage may come. But what if you're in a virtual laboratory with some sort of elements, then you can keep doing mistakes, right? But when it
Yeah.
comes to gamification in general, so if today I can't get good XP point, so tomorrow I will do it. Another day I will do it. If I lose this trophy, again I will get it. So bringing these elements, you are doing your main teaching, but you're injecting a little bit of gamification. They say, Raj, maybe I should say this before, that even even if you there are a lot of researches prove that if you apply only 30 percentage of this gamification taxonomy, 30, but in a proper way, you will get 40 to 80 percentage improvement. Only
Wow.
30 percentage, only 30 percentage. So it's very important we don't feel overwhelmed that we have now tomorrow, that you don't want to go through that circle of taxonomy and apply all of it. No, don't do that at all. One or two from each one applied, and then bring it out in your team, in your family, in your company, in your education, teachers, students, whatever. So that's a very interesting thing that to do this one. And also the main goal is increasing the fun and joy in the classroom, and that's nice. Remember how sweet was that stamp an A in the best. So, and also, uh, you remember the metacognition? One of the things the metacognition does, the learning process will be very visible. That means you
Mhm.
can feel that you are learning. You feel you are getting better. It's so obvious when you are learning a music instrument, immediately you feel the change. When you go to the gym and you want to do the change, you see it, you see it. But when it comes to the math, most of the time you may not be able to see it. Or biology, you just pass the exam, that's all. But when things become gamification, there are a lot of elements every day that you feel, oh, I became better. So I get a notification, I get a badge, I get ding, dong, doom, all these kind of things in my app.
Yeah.
So you love it, that kind of things. So the most important things at the end is bring in intrinsic reinforcement. That means they don't need chocolate anymore. They see math is nice. They understand by themselves mathematics is beautiful. I like it because it's a challenge. Intrinsically, I get the desire. So that means when I solve, that's the chocolate. then solve as a chocolate. So I don't solve to get the chocolate. It looks like when you're training your pet, but then pet does that without even treats. That's exactly same
Right.
happened to human.
Right. So, Uncle Code, a thought just occurred in my mind, right? If we can create such an effective gamification system where it's easy to see things like leaderboards, it's easy to see things like rankings, we have many opportunities for collaboration between students, all our education syllabus, right? The courses that we go through become so fun and exciting. Do you think there will still be a place for examinations or that method of assessments anymore?
It's. I guess this is going to be one of our talk topic to
Mm.
jump to this. True. What will be the future of exam within in this? Because look at the games. We do, is there any exam to know how much you're good in Clash of Clan or Mobile Legend or Fortnite or
If there was, it would be a very bad business model.
right? True.
Yeah.
It's happening. So that means it's so clear that if you're good in that game or not, nobody need any. So I just look at your leaderboard, done, finish, and it's active. It's not only one time, two times in semesters. Every moment you are assessing. So that's yes, you're right. That's the benefit of the gamification. But how would be the shape of the exams? Because traditionally, exams are a way that you show to your employer that you learn something. So whoever is a stakeholder. But what's going to happen here? You're right. And I can give you examples of how Stack Overflow, GitHub became a kind of standard when companies they want to hire programmers, they don't do the exam anymore. They look at their social status and those numbers. Or for example, if you say I'm a YouTuber, I'm influencer, so I immediately look at the numbers that you have in your followers. I look at the engagements metrics. There are metrics, so I don't need to give you okay. Come here. There's a paper exam. What is the definition of influencers? How many categories of influencers we have in the world? Tell me influencers in Argentina, in China, in Spain, and differences between them. Hey, list them all for me here. And exam started. You are on. We're not going to do such a kind of things. We just look at your numbers, your engagements, categories, audience. So that's the nice things actually. Yes, you're right. This is going to happen, and I like to talk about it more in details.
Uncle Code, I have a lot more questions that I want to ask you. Questions like, why hasn't gamification been more actively implemented across the world? And plenty
Oh,
other questions. And I'm sure everybody at home right now who's tuning in into the talk show, you have your questions as well. So maybe let's revisit this topic, sometime
I
down the
agree.
road, Uncle
I
Code.
agree. I agree.
And for everyone who has any questions about anything related to gamification in education, please put it down in the comment section below. We are looking forward to listening to what you have to say and what you have to ask. Uncle Code, final thoughts before we wrap
Okay.
up the episode.
Today we the main purpose of today was a little bit of more educating about gamification in education because it's a topic that I noticed that when I engaging with many parents, teachers, they may hear about it, they may search about it, but when I go through the conversation, I don't see that a holistic approach. So but now there are a lot of good articles over the internet, there are a lot of good resources over the internet, even there are online courses about gamification. So if you take some of them and you see all of them, definitely they're going to give you some hints and helps to apply to your school system. So today was more about defining education system, but definitely I like we revisit this by question answering about things that may pop up in the mind. So that's a very important thing. But there are some principles and definition that if you don't have it, we can't talk.
Right.
And so that's why it's a nice way to do that. And then my final word is I really hope one day game designers come to the game of creating curriculum for schools.
Hmm.
We
Wow.
shouldn't expect syllabus designer to do all these kind of things because it's not their job or not been their job. Maybe in the future they need it. But if we bring game designers, imagine good game designers with behavioral economists, because this gamification, as we discussed before, is a branch of behavior economists. If these people sit down on a table, and definitely should be some computer scientists there because we want to build a better education system with technology. The outcome is the future of education. The outcome is what should be happen. But if we want to do it in a boring and traditional way, oh no, not gonna work. I don't think gonna work. So I really hope that if some people are decision maker, understand that to have the great engaged learning content, we or a better future for a school and children, we need these three group of people and more actually. I think that we need, when we say game designers, storytellers, some behavioral economies, computer scientists come together and cook this interesting stuff. Believe me, Raj, it will be a day that there's no I hate this. It will be like it's a very beautiful topic, but I found it not in my interest. But I found my interest in history. I found my interest in art. I found my interest in mathematics. This is the kind of child that we need. This is people, and so easily achievable through such a kind of system. But we need these people come together and engage. And I hope maybe government do that, or companies they do that. For example, I try to do such a things in Keto Code and the futures. I want to bring these people, engage them to sit down, and I invest in this journey to make sure that at least we can build some concepts coming with these models and show it to other people. This is what we're talking about. Let's apply it and duplicate it. That's all. And
That's amazing, 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 Uncle Code. To quote one of my favorite songs, if that future is very close, it's already here. Right? It's a matter of growing it further. And when all that happens, it will be what a wonderful world, right?
exactly.
Definitely. So, to everyone tuning in, thank you so much for joining in for this episode of
Thank
Uncle
you.
Talk. Please let us know all your questions in the comment section below. Once again, we
Definitely,
really, really want to hear
definitely.
your questions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support means the world. Until the next episode of Uncle Talk, bye bye.
Take care, you beautiful people. See you soon.